situations and conversations with Trey Renee. Real situations, real conversations. Empowering the community leads to elevation. Entertainment and education, no better time than now. Pure enlightenment for the crowd. This is Situations and Conversations with Trey Renee.
Hi everyone, I'm Jeremiah Stroop, and I am so honored to welcome Trey Renee to our television family. After 5 seasons of Situations and Conversations, we're celebrating some of the moments that changed minds and moved communities. We're calling it a season of celebration, and we're going to share with you some of Trey's top 10 episodes, which we're so excited to deliver to you. These are voices that matter, and we got to uplift them with real solutions along the way. Trey, how are you?
Jeremiah, I'm so honored to be here. Thank you so much.
We're so glad to have you. Welcome. Now, you have a lot of episodes under your belt, but we're talking about Trey's top 10. These are some of your favorites.
I have a lot of favorites, but these episodes that we're going to be highlighting together are some of my favorite for different reasons. Some are educational, some are informative, all are elevating, enlightening, and empowering, and of course, entertaining.
Absolutely entertaining. You didn't win an Emmy for nothing. Now, today we're going to talk about chronic stress.
Ooh, that's a big one.
I think in our world today, everyone can feel the pressure, the anxiety, even the depression, but stress on a chronic level can be really devastating for people.
Absolutely, and in this particular episode, one of my favorite guests, Dr. Bukhose Dube, who is just so passionate about his work, working with communities, in particular communities of color, and some of the issues that plague our community. Stress, chronic stress, is a big one.
You know, he used an analogy about a zebra and how stress can be healthy because it's fight or flight.
Yes.
Because that zebra doesn't want to get eaten. But if you're constantly in that state, it can be a real challenge.
Absolutely, and it can manifest in all sorts of different ways that people aren't realizing at the time. And so this episode is particularly important because it's going to help our communities thrive, recognize symptoms, and hopefully get rid of that chronic stress.
Oh my gosh, well this is one worth watching, especially if you want to be a little more stress-free. Let's check out one of Trey's top 10 on chronic stress.
I am your host, Trey Renee. So excited to be here with you today because we are going to talk about something really important, especially in communities of color. We're talking about chronic stress syndrome. I don't know if you've heard about it, but you are definitely going to learn about it today. That is the situation. And here to have the conversation is none other than my friend, Dr. Bukhose Dube. Let me tell you about him, okay? Dr. Dube is a senior health advisor for Oregon Health Authority. He is also Chief Medical Officer at Cascadia Health and host of the podcast, Ask a Black Doctor, not to mention numerous conversations on my radio show on iHeart, Jammin' 107.5, Talking Black Health. And he is very passionate about all things healthcare, especially for people of color. Welcome to the show, everybody, Dr. Bukhose Dube.
So good to see you.
Always so good to have you. You are a champion for health for all communities, but in particular, you are really passionate about communities of color.
You know, it's being a person of color, it's something I'm passionate about. It's something that I have lived experience. And so I'm very comfortable talking about this because it's who I am. I can't decide one day that, hey, dude, you can stop being black today and live.
No. And we love being black. We don't, nothing we want to change, but it does come with some challenges in this country around being a person of color. And we've had several conversations around COVID-19. This is how we really started to know one another. So it's been, I think it's going on almost 2 years now.
That's right.
And one day we were talking Black Health, and we started talking about the disproportionate numbers in our community around COVID and just disease in general. And you mentioned chronic stress syndrome, and I had never heard that before. Can you break down what that is?
So there are many ways to think about stress. And stress is a good thing because in the very acute stage, stress is something that's supposed to help us get through whatever difficult situation we're in.
Okay.
So there are 2 things to think about. Going back to high school biology, homeostasis, it's that balance that the body is always in. and then allostasis, which is the things that when that homeostasis is disturbed. Think of a seesaw.
Okay.
Stable. If it's disturbed, it's no longer in homeostasis. There's an imbalance. Allostasis is what happens to bring that back into balance. So chronic stress is we're constantly out of balance, and the body is responding to make sure that it brings it back to balance, to homeostasis.
I see. Okay, I think you bring up a good point, because most of the time when people hear stress, they hear with the layman terms when people are like, oh, I'm so stressed out, and it's a negative thing, which depending on the level, it can be, but from what I'm hearing, it's necessary for our body to be able to, respond and react and do what we need to do when we are, faced with something maybe that we're afraid of or uncommon or danger or what?
That is so true. It's something that happens to us all the time without us even thinking about it, right? If you think about a zebra in the savannah, when a lion is chasing it, it has to mobilize its entire system to make sure that it escapes that lion. Right. And there are only going to be two outcomes, right? It's going to either run away or it's going to be
lion food.
It's going to be lion food, exactly.
Right.
We have the same mechanism in our bodies, right? And with the slight difference, we activate the same group of hormones, the same response mechanism whenever we're faced with stress. Whatever stressful situation it is, whether it's you're running away from something that you're afraid of, or you're going to have a conversation with your boss where you think things are not going to go very well, or you're encountering a hostile environment, or you live in a space where that's hostile to you. You activate the same mechanism as that zebra in the savannah.
I see.
So, and that system is only supposed to be on for 2 to 3, 4, 5 minutes max. When it's on for a long period of time, that's what chronic stress is.
So that hence the chronic part. This is ongoing, constantly, way more than it should be.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for that breakdown, because that helps out a lot. But now that we're talking about what it is, what does it look like? Like, what are some of the symptoms that people can, expect to see if they are suffering from chronic stress syndrome?
I think to answer that question, we have to go back again to biology, but now we're going a little deeper into the details of it. So the brain is incredibly complex. There is this part in the brain called the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus, when we perceive stress, the hypothalamus is activated, and then it releases a hormone called CRT, corticotropin releasing hormone, which then acts on another part of the brain, tiny part, pea-sized, called the pituitary. Okay. The pituitary then releases ACTH, which acts on a different part of the body called the adrenaline. The adrenal gland. The adrenal gland then releases 4 hormones, and this is what we see in the human being. We see not just in us human beings, in that zebra that's running away, in that lion that's chasing the zebra as well, right? Because it also needs to activate its stress mechanism so as to catch that zebra.
So what are we looking for here?
So you see so those 4 hormones are glucagon, growth hormone, epinephrine, epinephrine and cortisol.
Okay.
And of course adrenaline. So those hormones are very good, like I said, in 2 to 3, 4, 5 minutes. Over a long period of time, they cause obesity, they cause high blood pressure, they cause heart attacks, they cause strokes, they cause kidney failure, peripheral artery disease. So it manifests in many different systems, in many different ways. You bring up something that we talked about that got us to talking about this situation, right? This conversation of chronic stress syndrome. Why is it that we were seeing so many black folks, so many brown folks coming down with more severe symptoms or more severe illness from COVID-19, or being hospitalized at much higher rates because of those underlying conditions? Why do they have those underlying conditions? Because of the chronic stress syndrome that they live with every single day in their lives.
That's it right there. Okay, I'm going to stop you right here.
That was a powerful conversation, but stick around. There's more to discover in Trey's Top 10 Situations and Conversations.
Welcome back to Situations and Conversations. We are here talking with Dr. Bukhose Dube. We've been talking about chronic stress syndrome. Now we know what it is, we know what it looks like, but what in the world are we going to do to treat it? Okay, Dr. Dube, it sounds like this is a huge issue, and most times it seems like you just want to maybe go to the doctor and treat the symptoms. You mentioned, kidney failure, you mentioned headaches, you mentioned diabetes, there's a whole host of things, high blood sugar, all these things, right? High blood pressure. How do we actually get to the root of chronic stress syndrome?
That's a
Is
million
that the
dollar
million dollar question?
It is. I think if we're to tackle this issue, we have to redesign society. We have to go back to how is it that we end up with one group being dominant over other groups, right? I think that's what we have to confront as a society, and that's what we have to talk about openly and honestly.
Yeah.
Until we do that, we're only going to be, putting bandages on gaping wounds.
Right. Well, this is something we talked about a little bit behind the scenes too. It involves the mental health piece, and we have to talk about this. And I know everybody all of a sudden seems like they're on the mental health bandwagon. But the thing is, when you're dealing with something like chronic stress syndrome in a community that is under constant stress, under constant attack, either directly or indirectly, because we're constantly seeing people who look like you and I being killed, being beaten, especially by the systems that have been put in place to protect us. How are we supposed to not be stressed out about all that?
It's the honest truth is, we like we talked about earlier, we have to find ways of helping those individuals, those communities deal with these stresses. We have to educate folks that, hey, we have put in place systems that have oppressed you for a long time. Mm-hmm. Let's deconstruct, let's take apart those systems so that they are not seen as being harmful or threatening to other folks. I'm not in any way saying that we should do away with the systems that we should completely do away with the systems that we have, because some of those systems work. Mm-hmm. Let's evaluate and say, hey, this is not working, this is not serving people of color, this is not serving all of us. Let's do away with this. Let's come up with something a little different. I learned about something maybe a year ago about how the city of Portland is sending out folks that have master's level training, social workers, mm-hmm. to certain situations where people are threatening to harm themselves, people are threatening to harm others, mm-hmm. instead of sending police.
Right.
And they're very good at de-escalating the situation, or maybe even embedding those folks in the police system. I'm just using that as an example, and trying to find ways of de-escalating situations before they get out of hand, before someone ends up in handcuffs or dead they need mental health.
That's a great step, right? But even before that, we really need to get more mental health resources into communities of color so that we don't have the chronic piece of the chronic stress, right? Like, stress is natural, stress is normal to a degree. And that's the point I think we really need to drive home, is that we're out of balance. In society, we're also out of balance in our bodies. And if we can treat, like, how can we just de-stress? I mean, I don't know if you have the means, but I like to go to a good old spa. I mean, I love a good spa day, right? But sometimes, first of all, it costs money. Everybody don't have those resources, and that's also causing people stress, chronic stress, right? If you can't barely think about how you're going to feed yourself or your family, the last thing you're thinking about is trying to figure out how you're going to de-stress at a spa or anywhere else, right? But it doesn't have to cost money. Maybe you can drive or get to a beach or something, plan something, and sometimes even those things. I'm not naive to the fact that people who struggle, especially financially, have the most stress in this country, because money in this country is king, right? And so I'm trying to just give some sort of ways and resources that people can address some of the stress in your life. Maybe you need to move, or not necessarily move, like out of the country, although that has been considered with some of the nonsense going on. But like, maybe you're living in an area that's causing you a lot of stress. Like, start looking and evaluating your own personal situations, because trying to address the whole system, in America is gonna, you're gonna get pushed back and it's gonna take some time. Yep. So, but individually, can't we do some things right now that can help take care of ourselves?
Yes. There are things that we can do for ourselves, right? This is for anyone who's living with chronic stress. So, better sleep, good sleep hygiene, making sure that you turn off all electronics 2 hours before you go to bed, and make sure you are getting a good 8 hours of sleep. Making sure that you're eating healthy foods, right? Processed foods are terrible for us.
Yeah, but they're cheap. And it goes back to the money. I'm just saying. I have to play the devil's advocate.
I totally agree with you.
It costs money to eat healthy.
Yes. And so we need the systems that are put in place to make sure that to invest in community gardens, to invest in making sure that the good foods are cheaper, are affordable.
Yeah, that's a systemic change that we need to make. Exactly. But in the meantime, maybe we can just cut back a little bit.
Maybe we can cut back. Instead of drinking soda, you can drink water, right? That
100%.
That lowers your blood sugar, that lowers, it has an impact on your high blood pressure. The other thing that we don't usually see people doing is walking.
Exercising,
yes.
I don't like to. I'm just good. I am lazy by far. If I could take a pill, Dr. Dube, and we talked about this, to just like be healthy, I would easily do it, right? But that's not the world we live in, and we have to be intentional about our health. We can't sit up and complain about certain things and not take care of the things that we are in control of, like getting out and walking. And Lord knows, child, nobody wants to get a good weave wet, and we live in the Pacific Northwest, and I get it. But just put a little, there should be no shame in your game. If you have a shower cap and you know that you need to get out there for 30 minutes a day, make that happen for yourself. Yeah. And by the time this show, everybody's watching by now everybody's gonna walk around in shower caps and everybody's gonna understand the mission. It's all good, right? But this is the kind of thing that we're here for. And I really appreciate your time. I know we can sit here and talk about this forever because you are so passionate about health in our community. And our conversations will continue on Jammin' on the Trey Renee Show, and also here on Situations and Conversations.
Wow, that was a powerful conversation, but stick around, there's more to discover in Trey's Top 10 Situations and Conversations.
Now it's time for Hey Trey. This is where you get to ask the questions. Hey, welcome back to Situations and Conversations. I am your host, Trey Renee, and now we are to the part of the show that we like to call Hey Trey. I have assembled my girl tribe, for this conversation. And get ready, buckle up, buttercups, because it's gonna be a good one. To my right, I have Abibat Durosimi of Bloom Agency. Hey, Abibat. And over here to my left, I have Donisha Stone of Crystal and Stone Events. And April Allen, author and consultant and longtime friend of all the shows. Yes. Ladies, thank you so much for being here. This is gonna be so good. Okay, so the situation is, it's come to my attention that people are out here wondering if love is really unconditional. Okay. And I'm not talking about the kind of love that you have for your kids or, your family members, although sometimes those can have conditions. No, right? We're talking about the kind of love where, you're choosing a mate, a partner. Mm-hmm. Is that love really unconditional? Abiba, what do you think?
It all depends. I think, if you're a type of person that is looking for a significant other on their features, then that could be an issue. Well, right? Because not everybody, right. Not everybody's about, someone who has a lot of muscles or who are lean. I'm talking about a male point of view. I mean,
that's your preference.
That's my preference.
So yes.
You know what I mean? I like a well-fit man, right? But then also, do that man wants a woman that is voluptuous and curvy? And what does that look like, right? Mm-hmm. So do you love them for who they are? Like if they gain weight, if they lost weight, or what they are, you know?
How much are we talking about though? Like how many, like 5, 10 pounds? Right.
Let's be honest.
I gained like 20 in mine, so I'm just asking.
Right.
April, what are you saying?
Well, I am married, and I came into the marriage probably a size, I'm just going to be honest, everybody, a size 2 at the wedding. By the time the honeymoon was over, I was already a 4, 6.
Okay.
I had some kids, my children, and you know what? My frame is just different than it used to be, and so he has to accept that. It's partly his fault. So like, you better not say anything.
I mean, you didn't make the babies by yourself, okay?
Just ask me if I want no salt or salt on my fries.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. Okay, because I still want my fries.
All of them.
I mean, I like the whole discussion around the physical attributes, because that's very real. First of all, I think your eyes are also part of the equation.
Yes.
And you have to like what you see, right? And so that's probably a lot of the initial attraction.
Right.
Yeah.
The hope is, you maybe hopefully start off as friends, and then you grow into lovers, right?
Right,
Yes.
right.
But growing can go both ways.
It sure can.
I
They
mean,
also grow.
They can also grow.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let me say, I have a little internal battle with this. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
I feel like some things are within some control, and then there's some other things that you can't control. Like
Yes.
for example,
Okay.
I have some, like surgical scars on my body. Like, it's no secret I had my thyroid removed almost a year ago. And there has just been this unsightly scar that I try and cover up. You guys can't see it because I'm covering it up today. But in general, like if that is something that, somebody, and full disclosure, everybody here knows, and I don't know if you all at home know, but I am going through a divorce right now, and so, I'm out here a little bit, and
Sit outside.
and I'm a little self-conscious about some of the things that maybe when I felt like I had a little bit more security in the marriage, not so much. But now that I'm out here, I'm like,
But shouldn't a man grow? I mean, like what we were doing at 20 something, if you're still doing that 40 plus, I don't want you anyway.
But what if you're already in the committed
but
relationship?
if you're already in a committed marriage, once again, he should be evolving and grow. But what you're not gonna do is make me feel bad about myself.
I'll just say what I'm at. I'm at 41, right? So at 41, you might not think that you want to like update yourself and look different, but I got into this whole, I want to look better, I want to work out, I want my butt to sit up a little higher. Like you just got there. I don't know that my partner was on that, but I definitely was. So even the way I started dressing, I'm like, I want to wear sneakers. Sneakers make me look younger. Yeah. So like, it's just a part of that whole, even that, I might have wanted to get a new tattoo just to make myself keep looking, feeling
good,
bringing
feeling
that
yourself.
newness to the relationship.
Yeah.
So even that whole thing of how we look is different. So
I agree.
you're saying that right now, but you probably feel the same way. Like, do I need to go blonde now, or do I need to go back dark? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But see, those kinds of choices are, individualized choices.
Yeah, right.
But I'm thinking more along the lines of you're in a relationship with somebody, a committed relationship, and that person either is telling you that, you looking a little fluffy, or your behavior is this and that, because we're talking a lot about appearance.
Yeah.
But sometimes people's demeanors change.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes their attitude. Sometimes they quit their job in the middle of nowhere, and then what you gonna do? Are you still loving that person the same way when they're broke?
Exactly.
Let's talk about that.
Because I think when that happens, you end up losing that initial respect that you have for that person. Like most of the time when you get with that person, it's because you love them for who they are and where they're at, right? And they're meeting you where you're at. But once they start to fall off a little bit, depending on the situation. Right? Depending on the situation, then you're gonna look at them twice. Just like, so are you doing this for yourself, or are you doing this for the whole entire family?
Yeah.
Like, why are you changing? Why is this happening? Because you're not looking at the bigger picture, or are you just looking for yourself? Hopefully, that person is like thinking back, like, you know what? Maybe I should think about how I move, the decisions I make.
Yeah.
Especially when you're in a family dynamic.
So
Well, it's not just about you anymore.
How many times does this happen? Is this just one time we're getting through this?
Right. And then a lot of people have that insecurities where they do want to fix that. Like no matter what they do as far as working out or whatever they do, put it inside their bodies, their body is not forming the way they want to. So what we do, we want a little nip and tuck here. Or,
I'm mad at it.
do a little, zhuzhing up here. But just enough where we feel comfortable in our own skin, right? But hoping that person would want to be the same way.
I think that's the key as we wrap up this segment of Hey Trey. You want to feel comfortable in your own skin, right? And so if you're doing you and you think that is the best you that you can be, and whoever you with is not feeling that, then it's maybe time to have a conversation around that situation. I love you ladies so much, and I love you all for being here. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. God willing, we'll be back together again for another edition of Situations and Conversations. Until then, make sure you take excellent care of yourselves. And when you think me, think we. When you think you, think two. See you next time. Such a powerful episode. I'm so excited to share it with our family here.
Absolutely. And if they learn something from today, what should they do?
Absolutely, pass it on. Each one teach one. When you think you, think two. When you think me, think we. That's the collective and the community strength that we're all about.
The host with the most, delivering a great piece of advice. Tune in next time for even more Situations and Conversations.
Trey's Top 10.
Watch Situations and Conversations, Trey's Top 10 with my guy Jeremiah Stroop on Portland CW and streaming on the Coin Plus app, Sundays at noon.